Isiah Thomas, IT, your boy, was talking some crap over on the new, did you hear anything about Isiah Thomas talking?
Yeah, it's funny. Me and you were talking a couple weeks ago about how Isaiah, always seems to pop up, once every couple months. Talk about either take aggressive shots or passive aggressive shots at Michael Jordan. Now, yeah, I have some thoughts about this. Number
Oh, and
one,
then by the way, let me, let the viewers know exactly what he said. He did say that he dominated Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan only started dominating during his back end of his career, and he claims that he was only worried about guys like Magic and Bird. He was competing with Magic and Bird. Michael Jordan was in his, rear view. He wasn't even looking at him, but he claims at the very end, that's when Michael got a better team, got better, and beat on his old, self.
that's
That's
cool.
what that's what the exact, not necessarily the exact words, but that's exactly where he was going with that. But anyway,
All
yeah,
right,
go ahead.
brace yourselves. This is not going to be pretty. Um, Number one, Isaiah Thomas is an all-time great player. One of the best point guards that the game has ever seen. And he deserves his credit for creating the culture in Detroit, along with Bill Laimbeer, being the catalyst for the Pistons becoming contenders, being an attractive site for everyone to want to join and band together and eventually win 2 titles. He deserves a lot of respect for that. Number two, Michael Jordan won 6 MVPs. Larry Bird won three in a row while Isaiah was in his prime. And Magic won how many MVPs? Several. Also during Isaiah's prime. Isiah Thomas has 1 5th place finish, 2 9th place finishes, and an 8th place finish. Isiah Thomas is not in their league. And that's based on, I understand MVPs are just the opinions of others, but Isiah Thomas, both on a stat sheet and MVPs and the numbers themselves and everything you possibly could watch and imagine, Isiah Thomas is not on that playing field. And number three, again, this is 3 out of like 10 because I'm going to go off right here, okay? And number three, on that note, no great player has to keep saying, look what I did over and over again if he really knew that he was on that level, because he knows he's not on that level. Like it's obvious. It's like you don't have the accolades. Where's your all defensive team? Did you guard number 4? Did you guard the best perimeter defender in most games? Or did Joe Dumars, your Hall of Fame 2 guard, do that for you? Did you not have the best big court in the best big men in the league in terms of setting the tone? You had the Legion of Boom. You had the like Ray Lewis and the Ravens out there. You had Rick Mahorn, Bill Laimbeer, and you were able to, John Sally, you had trees. Okay? You were able to dictate the tone, okay, of the games that were played. Okay? Now, number 5, you played 22 playoff games against Michael Jordan. You won 12 out of 22. I get that. That's good. You got swept when you were 29, 30 years old, okay? You weren't like out of your prime. I understand you had some long playoff runs, okay? You averaged 19 points, 8 assists, 5 boards. You shot 40% from the field. Michael averaged 30 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists on 48% shooting. So you dominated him clearly. You had 19 on 40%. He had 30. You had an entire scheme to stop him, and you held him to 30 points on 48% shooting. Great job. You actually did do a really good job because against everyone else in the playoffs during Jordan's first 9 years, he averaged like 37. So, yeah, they did do a good job, and they won. But the bottom line is, Les, and this is the most important thing. I watched the Bad Boys documentary, the 30 for 30, and that was a great documentary. I watched it many times, okay? And the bottom line is that showed that Isiah Thomas had great teammates. Joe Dumars, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman, Mahorn, Mark Aguirre. Vinny Microwave Johnson. I know they interchanged, but I mean, you had like a better version of Jamal Crawford off the bench, and they were better. You know, like you had that coming off your bench. You were deep. And as much as you try in interviews today and over the years, try to talk about why, how those guys are great and all these things, and those guys played with this many top 50 players, and these guys played with this. Oh, but I also had great teammates. It's like, no, you don't get to shit on your teammates and then try to slide in how you're bigging them up. It's like, no, Isiah, you were not that dude. You were the guy who set the tempo. You were the leader. And you hit big shots, and I'll give you credit for that. And don't get it twisted, Les. All right, Isiah Thomas threw one of the most famous passes in NBA history, and that was the steal by Bird. He made an unbelievably ridiculous mental error. 2-2 series, up by 1, 5 seconds left. Detroit's ball. They have a timeout left. He not only didn't call timeout, he threw the ball under his own basket. Okay. Kids like, 10-year-olds know not to do that, okay? You don't throw the ball under your own basket up by 1 with 5 seconds left. One of the most egregious chokes of all time, okay? And now on the interview last week, he goes, oh, we had that one. Yeah, you had it one, and you blew it, and you still would have had to win game 6 against the great Larry Bird. Oh, and wait, did you see the documentary? Did you see the way that he handled the Larry Bird situation, where he repeated Rodman's quote? He still won't apologize. He's like, I know not to repeat someone else's quote. You still won't even be a man about it and just say, I was wrong. I should not have handled it that way. He handled it very immaturely in the press conference, started laughing, making jokes. He just couldn't be like, yo, I was wrong. I shouldn't have repeated it. Handle it like a grown man. No, that's your character, Isiah. Did Magic Johnson blame you? Did Magic Johnson blame you for creating gay rumors about him? Yes, he did. And did you walk off the court against Michael Jordan and the Bulls because they said mean things about you in the media? Really? Oh, the Celtics did it to us, so it's okay. Well, Les, let me tell you something. Someone went and punched me last year. So then I went shopping the other day and I punched someone in the face. You know what I said to the cops? Oh, I said, this guy punched me last year, so I decided to pay it forward. I punched him this year. Who cares? Isiah Thomas, you walked off the court. That was an immature act. And then I don't know what number I'm at. It doesn't matter. The dream team. Okay, let's break this down. Jordan didn't like you for good reason. Bird, okay. Well, I mean, if I was him, I wouldn't like you either after the way you acted with that situation. Magic, we just went over that. Pippen hates you. Karl Malone, I'm sure he loved you since, you were compared with John Stockton. And by the way, where's the accountability, Isiah? You were the ringleader. This documentary show, we're going to be the bad boys. We're going to rough people up. That's just what we're going to do. We're going to hurt you. We're going to set the tone. We're going to set the tone. We want the town to quake when we walk through the door, right? All the fancy music. Yeah, it's great. Well, you were the ringleader of a band of bad boys. Mm-hmm. You paid your penance by not playing on a dream team. Your own coach was the coach of the dream team. And he didn't fight for you because he knew it was a losing battle because nobody on that team wanted you, bro.
By the way, I don't mean to cut you off, but just so you know, he might have been better than the point guards taken in that, but statistically, the year before and that year, he was not a first or second team all NBA. Yes, he was not a first or second team all NBA. And everybody that got picked was either a first or second team NBA all defense. And so personally,
Bird and Magic. So he thought he deserved the Bird Magic treatment, and that's the point.
Yeah,
he did.
He wasn't. Yes, exactly my point.
And then the last thing is when he talks about Jordan. Okay, Les, if we were in gym class and you put all in 1988. Okay, in 1988, because Isiah, meanwhile in the documentary, saying how he lost sleep and couldn't sleep, and him and Chuck had to come up with the bad boy rules in the middle of the playoffs. So yeah, you were thinking about Jordan because he was the best player in basketball. Okay, the Pistons' first title run, they went 15-2. Their 2 losses were to the Bulls. They were down 2-1. Jordan hit a game-winning bank shot. Okay, so Jordan was the best player in the league at that point. It was known. He was the MVP. Okay, if you for those 3 playoff series, if you just lined everyone up in the gym and you said, Mike and Les, take your picks. Okay, we're taking MJ first. We're probably taking Isiah second, and then after that, how many straight guys are you taking on the Pistons besides Pippen? And trust me, Pippen wasn't Pippen yet. Pippen wasn't Pippen in 88, 89, even 90. 90, he was about to be Pippen, and then in game 7, he had a migraine. And he even admitted like he was worried about the game. He was worried about the Pistons. Like, I feel bad for the dude, but the bottom line is that was the year you picked Pippen. But the bottom line is 7 or 8 of the 10 players in that court, me and you would pick, they'd be Pistons. Bulls had some brawlers, but the Pistons had the best team. They had more Hall of Famers. They had more camaraderie. They just had everything. The Pistons were
a bench.
Yeah, and that's part of the game. So I have had it with Isiah Thomas. Oh, it just shows deep insecurity. He can speak all he wants. It's cool, and he can laugh about it. But at the end of the day, we all know the truth. And the truth is that, yes, his teams went 3-1 against Michael Jordan. But Isiah, deep down, comes off like a man who is insecure about his place in NBA.
I respect all of that you said. I personally think again he's insecure about Michael Jordan's success because bad boy Pistons, bad boys, But then this comes, here comes this 84, this young Michael Jordan. The league loves him. Pistons get to beat on him in the East, of course, and then Jordan turns it around after the rules were changed, and Pippen becomes an all-star. Also, people need to know it took Pippen about 3 years to become an all-star. Okay, so he wasn't the Pippen that we knew him to be. And also, after he became an all-star, he was defensively amazing. Okay, and that's what transpired into his offensive game as well, and then everybody around him. And that's why I look at Isiah Thomas and I'm like, bro, you're very bitter and insecure. Why? Because you had a team. The Bulls was Michael Jordan. Okay. It was Michael Jordan versus the bad boy Pistons. It wasn't Isiah and the bad boy Pistons. Nobody cared about just Isiah. It was the bad boy Pistons. Because you didn't have to deal with Isiah Thomas. Everybody can deal with him offensively because defense, he was a liability a little bit.
Does he have any all defensive teams?
No. Then that's my point. On defense, he was a liability, but everybody around him was so good, it didn't matter. You understand what I'm saying? But when you go to the Bulls, they're not all good, they were not all great, but they had Michael Jordan, so they mattered. He put them on the map. People forget, before Michael Jordan came to the Bulls were nothing, okay? The Bulls had no championship, they had no identity, nothing like that. Michael Jordan put them on the map, okay?
Where was Isiah from?
Let the fans know.
Chicago.
And again, more bitterness, more bitterness. The guy comes to my city, my town, and is running it up with them. But as you should just be thankful. And one thing on the Last Dance that I see memes of all the time is like, I met the criteria, but I wasn't picked. No, you didn't. What was the criteria? You were not the best point guard in the league that year, okay? And your name, like I said, you were not the Michael Jordan of your team. You just had a great team. You may have been the most popular guy on your team, but my point being is, you were not, anybody that was picked over you at your position was doing a better job than you that year. So there's no reason for him to still be there so this didn't be bitter about it, okay? But again, that's what, usually happens with greats.